Discuss this further. Let's cross live now to Zhang Weiwei, Dean of the China Institute at Fudan University, and he's joining us live from Beijing. Thanks very much for joining us this afternoon, Zhang Weiwei. It's very good to have you on the programme. Now, I'll start off...
Thank you, with pleasure.
I'll start off with the news that obviously the Chinese leader, Xi Jinping, will be visiting Moscow in his first overseas trip since re-election. What does this tell us about the state of relations between Russia and China?
It shows the Chinese leader, Xi Jinping, attaches great importance to the Sino-Russian strategic partnership. And as you know, we are in a world of uncertainty and even chaos. But a good and consolidated Sino-Russian partnership will be a force of certainty injected into this world of uncertainty. Furthermore, both China and Russia now also call themselves as civilizational states, and it's the leaders of two great civilizations. When they meet each other, the Chinese are happy, the Russians are happy.
Well, they certainly are. Now, during this visit, they're anticipated that several agreements between Moscow and Beijing will be signed. Obviously, neither of us can read into the future. But what can you tell us about the main areas of strategic interest between these two countries?
And when we use the term strategic partnership, it means comprehensive and long-term. It means a lot of political trust between the two countries and their leaders and their peoples. So when we talk about comprehensive, you name it, political, economic, technological, financial, and other domains where we have common interests. And even in the field of security, as mentioned in the news, we're going to have military, joint drills, etc. So it's really important part of the global strategic balance. That's really the weight of the two major countries like China and Russia can play.
Now, ties between Moscow and Beijing only really seem to have grown stronger since the start of the war in Ukraine. Why do you think that China hasn't joined in sort of Western sanctions and many attempts by other countries to isolate Moscow? Why does it seem to have gone the opposite way, if anything?
Essentially, what you observe, what has happened is Russia has been isolated by the West, but the West has been isolated by the rest. And the rest, of course, China is a major player in this particular rest group. And obviously, indeed, the particular military operation by Russia in Ukraine is controversial, or even very controversial. Yet, Russia's professed objective to change the unipolar world order into a multipolar world order, this position is widely supported, or at least understood by the rest. So that's important. And China also shares this view. We have to change and reform this kind of unfair and unjust unipolar world.
So do you really think we are seeing a shift now, a tectonic geopolitical global shift in power and politics from a unipolar to a more multipolar world at the moment?
Yeah, it's actually happening every day. You can see very clearly if you look at the figures. Now, in terms of population, which is understandable, and the rest represents 80% of the world's population. If you look at the economic power, the rest, roughly 70% of the world's economy. And then, you look at what's going on in Latin America, mainly left-leaning governments are in power against the US hegemony. In Africa, people talking about looking east. In Middle East, China had just, made a kind of a peace initiative and reached between Iran and Saudi Arabia, broke by China, which are all signs that the Western power is declining, and even declining faster than many people predicted. You look at the banking crisis in the United States, in Europe, in Credit Suisse, etc. Yeah.